To access a written version of this pattern, as well as the interactive downloadable PDF with time codes and check marks to keep track of your progress, use the link on screen now, in the description below, or by going to clubcrochet.com/bat. Hey there, it's Louie, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet an amigurumi bat. Now there's two important features of this bat that make it different from other bats, in my opinion. First off, it has a magnet on the bottom of it so that you can attach it to anything that is metal so that it can actually hang upside down or sit on top if you want it to be that way too. In addition, the wings have pipe cleaners added to them so that they can be bent in and out, so you can have your bat with a closed bat, so he's sleeping upside down. Here you can see a few different versions. So here you can see this one is sleeping upside down, and then you can open the wings, there you go, to have it a flying bat as well. All right, so this pattern is actually part of a bunch of amigurumi Halloween themed patterns. You can see a few of them on the side here. If you want to see more amigurumi Halloween patterns of mine, go to clubcrochet.com/Halloween. I have a bunch of, I call these pod people, they're finger puppet amigurumi. And I have a new color change chart, which is really cool and helps you learn how to do these really, really easily. In addition, I have some Halloween crocheted ghosts that you might like as well. And again, you can find all those at clubcrochet.com/Halloween. But in this video, we're going to be specifically making the bat. So let's move all these fellas to the side and talk about the materials. For this pattern, you're going to need the following materials. I'm using all worsted weight yarn in 100% cotton. You only need 2 colors, really. You can use 3. I am using purple for the main body, and that's going to be for all of the different parts of the body. You'll also need some color for the face. You'll either use white for the little teeth, or you can use pink to crochet a little stub-nosed like vampire bat. I tried including both of them in this one, and it looks all right, but I think it's best to either use one or the other. All right, because I'm using all worsted weight yarn, I'm going to be using a size G. Let me grab a crochet hook. A size G 4mm crochet hook. You'll also need a pair of scissors to cut the ends. You'll need a darning needle to sew the ends in. And you'll need some safety bead eyes. I'm using 6mm safety bead eyes. If you want to get a kit with all the pieces for this pattern, which includes all the materials that I'm using in this pattern, as well as or even including the magnets that you're going to need to put into the bottom of them, you can find them by either becoming a Club Crochet member, a Pro Club Crochet member. This is the kit for Pro Club Crochet members this month. Or I will have kits available for purchase in the shop. So if you want to find out more about that, go to clubcrochet.com. All right, well, without further ado, let's get hooking. This pattern has a few different parts that we're going to need to make to sew together. So we're going to start by making the ears. Okay, so the ears are actually surprisingly easy to make. We're going to start by making a slip knot with your yarn. I'm going to try to make this video as beginner friendly as possible, although this is not a pattern for absolute beginners. If you are an absolute beginner, go to crocheting101.com and go through my Crocheting 101 series before you start this one. It'll help out a lot. But I will try to make this as friendly as possible. So we're going to start with a simple slip knot. So we're going to take our yarn, loop around itself like that to make a little loop, and then flip that loop on itself, and to make it look like a little pretzel, grab the inside there and pull it through to make a slip knot. And we're going to get our crochet hook into that, and we're going to start with chain 4. So we're going to chain 4 times. So we're going to yarn over, go and pull that through the loop on our hook. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now we're going to be working into the back loops of these chains for the ear. We're also going to be doing that for the feet as well. So you can see there are these 2 loops on the front right here. We call those the top and the bottom loop. And on the back right there, you can see this little spine. That's the back loop. We're going to be working our crochet stitches into those back loops. We'll skip our first stitch, so skip the first one right here, and into the second and third stitch, we're going to do something called a single crochet 2 together. So we're going to take our crochet hook, and go into the second chain from the hook. That's going to be this one right here. Now I find it's best to use my nail to get into that back loop like that. And we're going to yarn over and pull through that loop as if we're going to be making a single crochet. Now we're going to go into the third chain from the hook right here and do the same thing. We're going to go into that back loop just like that. Yarn over again and pull through. And now you should have 3 loops on the hook. And we're going to finish this single crochet 2 together by yarning over and pulling through all the chains on the hook there, like so. That's going to be step 1 right there. Now for the next part, we're just going to do a half double crochet into this last chain right there. So for that, we're going to yarn over and then go into the back loop of that next chain. Again, you might need your nail to get into that back loop, just like that right there. Then we're going to yarn over again, pull that loop through the chain, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook to finish that half double crochet. Now you see we have this little tiny kind of triangle. Now to finish up the ears, we're going to yarn over and chain 1. We can cut the yarn. You don't need too long of an end. That's probably just about enough. And we're going to use the 2 ends here to sew it onto our body before we sew the body closed. Now you want to make 2 of these ears. You also want to make 2 feet and 2 wings. All right, let's move on to the feet. Okay, so for the feet, we're going to start the same way. We're going to start with a slip knot. So I'll just go ahead and make a slip knot right there. We're going to get our crochet hook in there. And we're going to start by chaining 3. So we're going to yarn over and chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Now you want to pull these chains really tight. So we're going to pull it tight and you'll see it kind of crimps all that end in there. And that's going to make a little point at the end of our toes. Now we're going to go into the back loop of the first chain we made. Here you can see that's our first chain right there. And that's the only one that didn't really get affected by our tight pull. So we're going to go into that back loop just like how we did on the ears. So there's the top and the bottom. Flip it over, see a little spine one. Get into that back loop right there. And we're going to slip stitch 1. So we're going to yarn over and pull that loop through the chain and then through the loop on the hook to make a slip stitch. Okay, now for step 2 of the feet, we're going to chain 3 more. So yarn over, chain 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull it really tight. We're just going to make a nice little point at the end there. And we want to slip stitch into the same chain that we slip stitched into for our step 1. So we want to go into that same place where we slip stitch into right here. Yarn over, pull that through the chain, then pull it through the loop on the hook like that. And you'll see we have this little kind of weird mess. It kind of looks like a mess, but I'll show you how to fix that in just a second. To finish up the foot, we're going to chain 1. We're going to cut the yarn. Again, you don't need it too long. We're going to use these 2 ends to sew it onto the body. We're going to pull that all the way through, pull it tight. Now you'll have this kind of weird looking, it's kind of like a V or an M. And what you want to do is you just want to take the 2 ends here and you kind of want to pinch them together. You want to pinch each of these feet and you'll see how it kind of just makes more sharp little toesies like that. And we'll pinch it together a little bit. And now you'll see we just want to use that right there. And that's all that you're going to need for the feet. Now you want to make 2 of these. So we'll put it aside and we'll make 2 of them. All right. All right, the next part is how to crochet the wings. Now the wings are especially tricky, but really fun. I use this really cool little technique to make them. So we're gonna start with a slip knot. Now you do wanna add a little bit extra yarn at the very end right there. So like about that's pretty good, maybe about a foot of extra yarn. We're gonna need that for sewing it onto the body. I'm gonna start with the slip knot, just like our past 2 parts. And we're going to start by chaining 10. So we want to do 10 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we're going to have this long chain like that. Now for this chain, instead of working into the back loops, we're actually just going to work into the top loops. So that being just like that right there. And we're going to start into the second chain from the hook. So there's our first chain. So we want to start that second chain right there and go into that chain. And we're just going to single crochet into each chain across after we skip our first. Okay, so we're just going to yarn over, pull a loop through that chain, and then yarn over again and pull through the 2 loops on the hook to make a single crochet. Just like that. Really easy. We're just going to do that into each chain across. So go into our next one right here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. And by the end of this string of chains, you should have 9 single crochets in the row. Now we're going to call this the row because we are going to be turning at the end of this row. And that's how I distinguish the difference between working flat and working in the round. If I'm working in a round, it means I'm working in a spiral or a circle without turning. But if it's a row, I turn at the end. All right, so we have 9 single crochets now. If you want to count back, just count the V's at the top. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we got 9 single crochets there. And that'll be the end of row 1. For row 2, we're going to turn our piece around. We're going to chain 1 like that. And we're just going to single crochet into both loops of each single crochet that we made in step 1. So you can go into step 1 and just do a single crochet into each. So there. See how I'm under both loops? Just do 1. Here's under both loops, just like that. There's 2. And you should have 9 by the end of this row, just like how you did on your first row. We'll just keep single crocheting across 9 times. So we're making kind of just like a little flat square. Pretty easy squeezy. Okay, so there's 8. Now the 9th one can be a little bit tricky. It's best if you look over the top, you can see the little V there. And you might need your nail to get into both those loops. Just single crochet 1 to that last one right there. All right, and that's going to be the end of row 2. Now before we start row 3, we want to add the pipe cleaners that we're going to work around for these wings. So what you want to do is you want to take a full pipe cleaner just like this, and you want to fold it into half like so. Okay? And you can take your scissors. It might be best to use a pair of pliers to cut this, but we're going to cut this pipe cleaner into half. The reason you might want to use pliers is because it can damage your scissors a little bit. All right. So now we have half of a pipe cleaner. What you want to do is you want to fold this half pipe cleaner into half yet again, like that. And we're just going to twist this up all the way so that these 2 ends are twisted all the way up, and it'll make this pipe cleaner a little bit stronger. So we're going to pinch the end right like that. We're just going to start twisting it all the way, which will double the strength of each of our pipe cleaners there. We want it to be a pretty strong pipe cleaner so that our arms stay into the position that we want them to. So you can kind of see how I'm just like twisting it up. You want to twist it almost all the way. You want to leave about 1/2 inch to 1 inch on the these 2 back ends. And that's because we're going to be using these ends to attach the wings to our body. Okay, so that's probably about good. Let's see how that looks. That's pretty good. Okay, so now we have half a pipe cleaner twisted up. Let's get that fuzz out of the way. And we're going to need this for row 3. We're going to be working around this pipe cleaner for row 3. And we can start row 3 first before we start working around this pipe cleaner so that we can get a little place so that we can stick it into. And how we're going to do row 3 is we're going to turn our piece and we're going to chain 2 this time. So we're going to chain 1 and 2. And just like how we did on the feet, we want to pull those chains really tight, and that's going to make a little point at the end of our wings. So we pull that chain tight. Now into both loops of the next stitch, okay, so both these loops right there. And you want to get into the back of the loops from the chains that we began with. So if you look at our chains right there, you want to get into the back loops. Now the best way to find out and make sure that you're going into the right one is there should be 9 of these chains that you're going to be working into. So if we count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See this one right there? We want to get our crochet hook into that. So that way our crochet hook is both into both these loops and into the other chain from the other side of the beginning chains. So we're going to take our crochet hook, get into that loop like that, Might need your nail for that. Just like that. And we want to just slip stitch once. We yarn over and we pull through that chain. And we pull through these 2 loops on our next row, and then we just slip stitch once. We just pull through the loop on the hook like that, and that'll make a little slip stitch. Okay, so we're going to do that into each one of these stitches all the way across, but we want to work around this as we're going. So I like to do 2 of these before I stick this in between and start doing it. So let's do another one. So I'm going to go into both loops and into the chain on the opposite side. And you can see our yarn's coming out of that last chain, so it's not that one, but it's instead this one right here. So we get our crochet hook into that. You can see how it's under both of those, just like that. And then we want to slip stitch, so pull through that and through the 2 stitches, and then through the loop on our hook like so. There you go. So we're basically like attaching these 2 ends and folding it in half and making it into one piece. Now that we have 2 made, I'll stick this under those like that to kind of keep it into place better. Might need to twist it a little bit. You just want to keep it into place. You don't want it poking out of stitches just like that. You don't want that happening. So you want to make sure that it's just in there just a little bit. Okay. And now we're going to continue by crocheting around this pipe cleaner as we go. It keeps falling out. Gotta get it in there just a little bit more. I think maybe what will help is if I just pinch the end there to make it a little bit of more of a point needle. There we go. Okay, so we're just holding it into place like that. We're just going to work around it as we go. So we're going to go into both loops of our next stitch right here, and into the back loop of the next chain right here. Best to use your nail. I only got into half of those stitches, so you want to make sure that you're under all the loops there. It should look kind of like that. Let's get this loop out a little bit so you can kind of get a better view of it, just like that. Okay, and then we'll just slip stitch into that. 1, 2, and 3. There you go. We're just going to keep doing that into each stitch. So let's do another one right here. Both loops, and then the back loops of the opposite chain. Okay, slip stitch 1, 2, and 3. There we go. And there should be 9 of these slip stitches across. And there. See, I'm making sure that I'm under all of the pieces of that chain, and I'm not splitting the yarn by accident. That's important. Both loops, opposite chain, slip stitch. Okay, just a few more. Both loops, opposite chain, and then slip stitch. Okay, 2 more. Both loops, opposite chain, and then slip stitch. Okay, and then our last one right here is both loops, opposite chain. That last one can be a little bit tricky, so make sure to really use your nail to get under that, and then slip stitch like that. Okay, now you can see I kind of twisted it a little bit further than I'd like to, so I'm going to untwist this just a little bit, just like 1 or 2 twists, so that the twist ends right at the base of that wing, just like that. Okay, so now you should have this kind of funny looking thing right there. All right, and that's going to be the end of row 3. Now for row 4, our last row in our wings, we want to turn our piece around. Let's get our crochet hook out to help you turn it around a little bit better. There you go. Now you want to pull this chain actually a little tighter. I'm wrong. All right, so we're going to turn our piece around, and we're just going to chain 1. Now see how my yarn is going over those pipe cleaners? That's going to be important. You don't want it going under or something like that. We're just going to chain 1 with our yarn. And now into this next row, we're going to be working into the slip stitches that we made from our previous row. And you can see all these little V's at the top there. That's what we're going to be working into. So after we've chained 1, we're going to start by single crocheting into the first slip stitch. We're going to skip that chain that we made. get our crochet hook into that slip stitch. It's kind of hard. You might want to point down. Get your crochet hook pointing down when you poke it through. It'll help a little bit. Now we want to single crochet once. We're going to pull a loop through. It's best to do like a nice scoop to get that single crochet through, and then pull through both loops on the hook like that to make a single crochet. We're going to do 2 single crochets. So there's 1. Now here's the next slip stitch. We're going to go point down. Make sure you're under both those loops. Do a single crochet. Okay, so there's 2 single crochets. Next we're going to do a half double crochet. So we yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And notice how I really do a scoop to get under those. Okay, so 2 single crochets, a half double crochet. Now you want to do a double crochet, so we yarn over, go into the next stitch. Okay. Yarn over and pull a loop through. Now yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook. And then yarn over again and pull through the final 2 loops on the hook. That's how we're going to do a double crochet. Now next we're going to do something called a mini picot. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, we're going to chain 2. So we go 1 and 2. We're going to work into the back loop of the second chain from the hook. So we count back 1, 2. I'm going to go into the back loop, that spine, just like how we did on our feet and in our ears. To that back loop right there, we're going to slip stitch 1. So yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on the hook. That's going to make this little point in between our wings. Okay, now into the next slip stitch, we're going to do another double crochet. So we yarn over, go into the next stitch right there, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops like that. Okay, so again we did 2 single crochets, half double, a double crochet, a mini picot, another double crochet, and now we're going to go back down again. So we're going to go half double crochet. So we yarn over into the next stitch right here, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops, and then we do a single crochet into the next. Okay, and to finish the wings up, we're going to do a slip stitch into the last one right here. Yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop to do a slip stitch. You can see how it goes, boop, boop. Now we can cut the yarn. You don't need too long of an end. We're just going to hide this end on the inside. We're just going to pull this all the way through, and we'll thread it on a needle like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the back loop of the last single crochet, so or the last slip stitch. So if you look, there's going to be one more V at the end of this piece right there. Here, let me get a little closer there. See that little V? You want to go into the back of that one, just like that. Pull it through. Try not to pull it too tight. Now we're going to go back down through where that stitch is coming out. So through, see where that's coming out? We want to go back into that stitch like that. And then you just want to kind of hide it on the inside. I'm just kind of like weaseling my way up until I come out of a stitch, just like that. Now you can pull that a little tighter. Pull that through. And our idea here is we're supposed to be trying to mimic another stitch. Okay, so it should kind of mimic another stitch so it looks like another stitch, but really we're hiding the end. And you don't need to cut that, or you don't need to like knot that or anything. It should stay in place. I haven't had a problem with it yet. I'll just cut it nice and close. And now you have a wing, and the cool thing is this wing should be posable because of working around it on our pipe cleaner. So now we can kind of give it a little bit of a curve. And we're going to use this to sew onto our body before we sew our body closed. So you want to have 2 of these wings, 2 ears, and 2 feet. And once you have all those, we can start working on the body. Okay, so for our body, we're going to be doing a magic loop. So I'm going to take the yarn and pinch it with my index and thumb at the top like that. We're going to go around our 2 fingers like so. Just go around them and then go around and make kind of an X on your fingers there. And then we're going to grab the yarn with our back 2 fingers. Okay. Now you should have 2 little bars at the back there. Let's pull this a little tighter. 2 bars on the back and a little X right there. We're going to take your crochet hook, go under that first one, and grab hold of that second bar and pull it under the first bar. Now we're going to twist that like so. See how I'm creating a little twist there? Then yarn over with that same end. You might need your finger to grab that end. Yarn over with that end and pull that through the loop that you just made to create a chain. Okay, so that should create a little chain. We can pull this off of our fingers now. And this is how we're going to create a magic loop or magic circle. It's called both things. We're going to pull that just a little bit tighter. And for round 1, we're going to be working into this magic circle or magic loop with our stitches. And then we're going to pull it tight. Okay, so for round 1 of the body, we're just going to be single crocheting 6 into this magic loop. So we're going to go into under the magic loop, yarn over and pull a loop through, then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on the hook, like that. And we're going to do 6 of those. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there is 6. Okay, so now you have 6 stitches in the magic circle. We can pull this tail end and it will tighten our magic circle into a nice tight little hole. Okay. All right. So let's get a little bit of yarn so that we can keep track of where we're at. So I'm just going to use this to keep track of the ends of our rows so that it's our rounds, so that it's best so that you can tell where the rounds begin and end. Okay, so that's going to be the end of round 1. For round 2, let's keep this ready. We're going to start by increasing into each stitch around. So we're going to grab this yarn for marking our ends of our rounds. We're going to hold it in between. Get those tail ends out there. There we go. We're going to hold it in between the yarn on the hook and the other piece right there. And we're going to do an increase into each one of these stitches around. So we're going to get into that first single crochet we made right there. There we go. And we're just going to yarn over and pull through that loop, and yarn over again and pull through 2 loops on the hook. And that's going to make a single crochet. And we're going to do 2 single crochets into each one of these stitches. Okay, so there's 1. Then we're going to do our second single crochet into that same stitch for an increase. There we go. So we want 2 single crochets into each stitch around to make an increase. So there's 1. Let's go into this next one right here. There's single crochet 1 and single crochet 2 for an increase. And this is going to bring you up from 6 stitches to 12 stitches. So let's do our third increase right here. Single crochet 1 and single crochet 2 for an increase. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's 7 and 8, 9 and 10, and then our last one's right here, 11 and 12. Now we're going to pull our little stitch marker out a little bit so that we keep track of where we're going. I think this is a little longer than we need, so let's go ahead and cut the end of our stitch marker because we don't need all that bit. Okay. That's going to be the end of round 2. I'm going to pull this. See how we have a little bit of a hole there? You can see the light shining through. We want to tighten that a little bit up. There we go. So I just pulled this tail end to tighten it up a little bit. Okay. So for round 3, we're going to be working a single crochet into the first 3 stitches and then an increase into the 4th stitch. So we're going to do 3 single crochets. So go into our first one right here. Do 1 single crochet. Here's 2. And here's 3, and then do an increase into the 4th. So there's 5 and a 6. Okay, so 3 single crochets and then an increase, and we're going to repeat that 3 times around. So there's our first repeat. Let's do it 2 more times. So 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. An increase, that's 1 and 2 for an increase. That's going to be our 10th stitch because each one of these repeats is going to be 5 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. and we're going to have 15 by the end here. So let's do our last repeat. 3 single crochets is 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. 4 and 5. That should be our 15th single crochet. All right, that's going to be the end of round 3. For round 4, we're going to pull a stitch marker up here. We're just going to do a single crochet into each stitch around. So it's just 1 single crochet into every stitch around, and there still should be only 15 stitches around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 and 10, 11, 12, just a few more. There's 13, 14, and here is our 15th single crochet. So we can pull our stitch marker over there. This is going to be the end of round 4. For round 5, we're going to be increasing up just a little bit more. We're going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase. So let's start by doing just our first repeat there. We're going to repeat that 3 times total. So let's do 4 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then an increase. It's going to be 5 and 6. And we're going to repeat that 3 times total. So let's do our second repeat here. 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then an increase. 5 and 6. Okay, now one more repeat here, and this is going to bring you up from 15 stitches to 18 stitches. So by the end of this round, round 5, we should have 18 stitches around. Okay, there's our 4 single crochets, and then we'll do our last increase right here. And that should be 18 stitches around. You can pull this stitch marker up, and that's going to be the end of round 5. Okay, so for rounds 6 through 9, that's 4 rounds total, 6, 7, 8, and 9, all 4 of these rounds. We're just going to be doing single crochets into each stitch around. Okay, so that's pretty easy. So I'm going to keep my stitch marker here. We're just going to do 4 rounds of just single crochet stitches, and there still should be 18 stitches per round. Now, I'm probably going to go ahead and skip till I have these 4 rounds finished, but while I'm going, I'd like to talk about Club Crochet really quick. So Club Crochet is my subscription service for crocheters. You basically get new patterns and tutorials every month, kits mailed directly to your door. You get early access to patterns just like this. So Club Crochet members got access to this pattern much earlier, as well as exclusive patterns and tutorials for each month. So I finished our first round there. There's the end of round 6. We'll keep going around. This is going to be round 7. Don't forget we're going to round 9. And Club Crochet is only $5 a month, so it's pretty affordable. And you can even get a free trial to see if you are interested in what it is all about. What's cool is that every pattern and tutorial on the website has a full video tutorial just like this, as well as a written instructions and a downloadable interactive PDF. When I say interactive PDF, that's because the PDF actually includes time codes for the video tutorial, just like this one. So you can go ahead and skip straight to the place in your video that you need to. And it includes check marks so that you can keep track of each of the rounds. So you can keep track, oh, I'm on round 4. Let's put a check mark there. I think Club Crochet is really cool. I'm very proud of it. And if you are a pro member, you actually get kits mailed directly to your door with all the materials that you need. So this month, Club Crochet Pro members got a kit with all the materials for this pattern, which include, the pipe cleaner, all the yarn. It had the stuffing, it had the magnets, it had safety eyes, everything that you're going to need to make whatever pattern we're making that month. And they get one every single month. They also get discounts in the shop. So if they want to buy additional kits, they can. And it's just a little bit cheaper. And like I said, there is a free trial available if you are interested. You can learn more about that by just going to clubcrochet.com. All right, and the last thing I want to say is that if you'd like to share a picture of your finished bat with me, you can by posting it with just hashtag clubcrochet, and I'll be able to see it that way. I love seeing finished projects, and it's just really cool. I'll comment and say, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool," because it is. It's really cool to see my projects being completely finished. And if you'd like to tag me directly, I'm at Louise Loops on all things social. That's my personal Instagram, YouTube, Twitter handle. All right, so this is going to be the end of round 9 right there. Pull our stitch marker up right like that. And I'm just going to do one single crochet into the next stitch just so I can keep the stitch marker in place. And we can stop now and go ahead and add our face and stuff like that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take this tail end from the very start and I want to thread it on a needle. This is going to create a little hair tuft at the top. We're going to take our crochet hook and kind of see on the inside there a little bit. We want to go straight through the center. Okay, so just straight through the center, just like that. Okay. And we can cut this kind of short, about like, let's go like that. And we'll just push it down, and that'll create a little tuft of hair right at the top of our bat. Okay, so that's our first part. Now, next part is we want to add our eyes into round 4. So we want to grab some safety eyes. One, two. There's our little backs. All right. So we want to take our safety eyes and we want to put them into stitches 3 and 7 of round 4. So if we count up, there's round 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's round 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want to do stitch 3 and 7. So there's 1, 2, 3. So right there. Okay. So that's stitch 3, 1, 2, 3, and then stitch 7. So that, if that's 3, we got 4, 5, 6, and 7. So right here. Okay, so that's where we want our eyes. You can kind of see it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now you want to take the backs, and we'll just go ahead and put them on the inside there to lock our eyes into place. All right. Just like that. And the next thing we want to do is we want to embroider on a nose or teeth. That's all depending on you, if you'd rather have nose or teeth. Now I'm going to go ahead and do both so that you can kind of see how to do either one. I'm going to start with the teeth, and then I'm going to undo that and add the nose. So we're going to start with our white yarn and thread that on a needle. And this is how I embroider the teeth. If you look at our eyes here, there should be an increase stitch in between eyes. You can tell because there's 2 V's right there going into one place. This is a single crochet, it's just 1 V going into one spot. This is an increase, 2 V's going into the same spot. Okay, so that's where we want to come out of, right where that increase is, right like that. And you want to go down to the outside of that increase right here. Oopsies, grab my crochet hook. Just like that. And then you want to come up through the stitch just above that. And then back down through that same stitch. And so you kind of see there's one little tooth. And then we're going to do the same on the opposite side. So we go up through the middle, down through the stitch just under, and then up through the stitch just above. Like that. And then back down through that same stitch like that. Now you can kind of see, basically making a little W. That's how I do the teeth. Now let's undo that, and I'll show you how to do the nose, the little stubbed kind of vampire nose. That I think the stubbed nose is kind of, I actually don't know which one I like more just yet. I still haven't decided. All right, let's get that out. I like the nose because it's just very signifying of a vampire bat. So we're gonna grab our pink yarn, thread that on our needle, and we're gonna work this also into that same exact increase. So you're gonna go in through the top of where that increase is, that same spot. You can see the two V's going into the same spot. Go through the top, and we're basically gonna make a little triangle. So we go through the right, come out through the left. Okay, then we go back down to that same one, come out through the same place we came out of. Actually, we can come out through the middle right here. Okay, and then back down through the side right here. Okay, so you see how we're making a little triangle. And now what we want to do is come out through, whoopsies, gotta be careful about what we're going around here. We're going to go out through the center of the bottom of our triangle. Like that. And you want to go down through the top, and then come back out through the same stitch, like that. There's one. And then you want to do that again. Go back down through the top one more time. There you go. You can kind of see how that's a little piggy kind of vampire nose. All right, so now we can take these two ends on the inside and just double knot them to keep it into place. I'm gonna stick with our stub nose vampire bat for this pattern. But I'm very curious of what you think is best. So let me know in the comments, do you like the stub nose or the one with teeth more? You could just go ahead and comment down below. I try to at least check all the comments on the YouTube channel. It's getting kind of exhausting, but I'm still at it. So if you comment on a YouTube video, you can count on me seeing it. At the very least, you can count on me seeing it. I try to respond to every single one of them though. All right, so then we got our little nose on there, and I showed you how to do the teeth. Next, you want to sew on the ears. So what we want to do is we want to grab our little ears that we've made. There's one, and here is our second. And these go 2 stitches away from each of the eyes. So if you look at the eye, well, first you can kind of see there's a little bit of a curve to them, okay? And that's because the curve is the bottom and the flat part is the top, okay? So this would be the opposite way. You can kind of see how that doesn't really work. So we want it this way. You want the curve at the top of the head and the flat part at the top of the head and the curve at the bottom. So we want to thread the bottom curve part first. And you want to go 2 stitches away from the eye. So there's the eye, and go 1, 2 stitches away. And thread into that end. That's where you want to put the bottom of the ear, like that. And then thread the top of the ear onto our needle. And go 1 stitch above it. Okay, so just if that's where we went in, want to go 1 stitch above it right here. And you want to pull it enough so that each one of these knots kind of are just barely pulled through. You can kind of see the knot being pulled through right there. Let's do this side. There you go. See that knot? And you want to just double knot those on the inside. 1 and 2. And we can cut the yarn nice and close. There we go. We'll throw these to the side. We can use that to stuff our piece up with later so we don't have too many extra ends. Just curve it. And then I sometimes like to pinch this the end to make it more of a sharp ear. And we're going to do the same to the opposite side. So take our crochet hook. We're going to go 1, 2 stitches away. And that's actually the beginning of that round. So I'm actually going to take these stitch markers out just because they're going to get in our way when we're sewing this ear on. So just get our stitch markers out almost all the way to the end. We'll keep the last one in so we know where the end of our round is. Just place that down. So go 1, 2 stitches away. make sure that the bottom part is being pulled through the bottom of the face. There we go. Just pull that through. And then one stitch above right here, thread that on a needle. There we go. All right, and now we can just pull that enough so that both of those knots, there we go, are being pulled through the inside, and we can just double knot that on the inside. That's going to be where to add the ears. You just cut those nice and close. Throw that to the side. And the last part that we want to sew on before we continue on the body, go ahead and make sure he looks all cute. Oh, so cute. Okay. What a cute little bloodsucker. I actually think that I need to take out this last stitch marker as well. So let's go ahead and pull that on the inside right here, just to get it out of our way a little bit, because we're going to be sewing on the wings now. I almost call them his arms, but they're not his arms, they're his wings. And we want to get as much placement as possible. So what we want to do is you want to grab your wing, and you should have two of these little ends. And what you want to do is you want to take those two ends, you want to go a couple stitches down from the ear. So count down one, two. So there's two stitches down from the ear. You want to put one half of the end on one side and the other half on the other side, like that. So see, it's between a whole single crochet. You want to put those two ends, push them all the way on the inside. And then on the inside of our piece, you want to take these two ends and just twist them. Try to twist them pretty tight. 1, 2, let's do 3, and then flatten them out like that. That'll kind of keep that wing locked into place. There we go. And then now we want to sew the wing on using this tail end. So we're going to thread that onto our needle. And you want to go first through the right side of where you put the pipe cleaner in. So go through the right side of the pipe cleaner and then down through the bottom right here. Okay. Pull that through. And you want to take this yarn, go through the bottom of your wing right here, like that, and go back in through the same stitch you just came out of, right, like this. I'll go ahead and pull that a little bit tighter. I kind of should have pulled it tighter sooner, probably, like that. And then you want to come up through the other side of the wing where that pipe cleaner is just poking out, right, like that. Make sure we're not accidentally knotting anything together. And you just want to kind of go in through the side of our wing like so. Like that. And then back down through that same place where the pipe cleaner is coming out. And you want to keep a loop here. And you want to go back up through where you first went in. Try to make sure I just want to make sure I'm not accidentally working around the end of our piece there. You want to come up through the same place where you came out of right here. And try to keep a loop. So try to keep this loop open because we're going to use that for knotting on the inside. I'm just going to keep my finger in it like that so that we have a loop. And we're going to go back down through the opposite side of the wing, so pretty much anywhere, right there. Back down through the bottom. There we go. And we're going to pull it kind of tight. And you'll see this loop will start to shrink. And what you want to do is you want to go into that loop like that. Pull it tight so that loop creates a bit of a knot so that your piece doesn't come undone. And we can just cut that on the inside. And now you have one of your wings done. And we're going to put the other wing on the opposite side. I'll show you where to place the pipe cleaners. First, you got to grab the wing. Take our two pipe cleaners. We're going to go a couple stitches down from the ear. Go one end here, if I can. There we go, one end right there. Get those on the inside. And I'm just going to sew this on the exact same way. I'm just going to take the pipe cleaners on the inside, like that, and just twist them to keep them into place and flatten them out, keep them nice and flat. And then I'm just going to sew this wing on the exact same way. Okay, so now I have both of our wings sewn on, and now we can continue our piece. We want to crochet one more round before we sew on our feet. So we're going to go into our piece here. Make sure that little stitch marker is stuffed on the inside here. Your crochet hook into that, and then just pull it nice and tight. And we are on round 10. So I'm going to undo this last single crochet that we made so we can restart round 10. I just did that single crochet to keep this stitch marker in place. Okay, so for round 10, you're going to do one single crochet. So we're going to go into this next stitch, yarn over and pull through. And then now we want to do an invisible decrease. For an invisible decrease, we're going to go into the front loops only of the next 2 stitches. So if you look at the top of the stitch here, you'll see there's 2 loops. We just want to go through this front one, just for the next 2 stitches. So I like to do that 1 stitch at a time. Let's get these tail ends out of the camera angle. So we're going to go into the next front loop right here. Okay, so there's 1 front loop. Now we want to get your crochet hook around and into the second front loop like that. And we work a single crochet into those 2 front loops. So we yarn over, pull through the front loops, yarn over, and pull through 2. That makes an invisible decrease. It's really hidden. Okay, so we got 1 single crochet, 1 invisible decrease, and we're going to repeat that 6 times total. So 6 repeats of that will bring you down from 18 stitches to 12 stitches around. So let's do our second repeat. We go single crochet, and then invisible decrease. We go front loop, and then front loop, and then single crochet. So there's our second repeat. Here's our third repeat. We got single crochet and then invisible decrease. Here's our fourth repeat, single crochet, invisible decrease, front loop, oops, 2 front loops. There we go. We'll just keep going and doing that repeat until we get to the end of this round. And you should have 12 stitches by the end of this round. Our last repeat here, we go single crochet and then invisible decrease. Okay, that's going to be the end of round 10. We're almost done with this now. Pull our loop out a little bit. Now we can sew on our feet. So we're going to grab our little feeties here, and you'll see there is a top and a bottom to these. The top, it's kind of hard to see, but this is the top and that is the bottom. It doesn't really matter. You can do it either way, but here, look, let me show you. That's the top, that's the bottom. I mean, it's really hard to tell the difference, to be honest, but you want it to be facing upwards if you can. And you want to thread each of these ends of the feet. And I just like going kind of, I go into the round above, so that's going to be round between rounds 9 and 10. And we're just going to go into this stitch right here for one side, and then this stitch for another. So you want just 1 stitch away for each of these 2 ends of the tail of your feet. 2, and then just pull that through. And you want to pull it enough so that the knots are getting pulled through. So there's 1 knot. There we go. There's our second knot. So you can see how those little knots get pulled through. And then we'll just double knot that on the inside. We'll do that for both of our feet. 1, 2. There we go. We can cut that nice and close. And let's do the opposite foot as well. Kind of see that foot right there. Here's the opposite side of the foot. And you want to keep them kind of a similar distance away. That's pretty good. These 2 stitches right here. We'll just thread each side individually. Just one, pull it through, and then the 1 stitch over right here. There we go. Pull that through. Make sure both the knots are pulled through the inside. There's 1 knot, and second knot is being a little bit difficult with me. There we go. 1, 2. You can barely see it poking on through there. I don't know why that one was being difficult. And we just double knot that on the inside. Cut the yarn. Put that to the side. And now we just have 1 more round on our body, and then we can sew him closed. I'm just going to pull this tail end out, or these stitch markers out, because we're on our last round. We don't need them anyhow. Throw those to the side. Get our crochet hook into our piece. And for our final round, we're going to be doing a decrease, a sharp decrease into each stitch around. That's going to be 6 sharp decreases total. Now, a sharp decrease is a stitch that we haven't really messed with yet. So we've done the single crochet 2 together in the wing, or in the ears. We did the invisible decrease in our round 10. But in this round, we want to do a sharp decrease. For a sharp decrease, we're going to go into the next stitch right here, yarn over, and pull a loop through. And then go into the next stitch right here, pull a second loop through, and pull that second loop through the 2 on the hook. And this is going to create a really sharp decrease that closes it in really tightly. So we're going to do 6 of those total. There's 1. Here is 2. So we go pull a loop through the next, pull a loop through the next, pull the second loop through the 2 on the, oops, let's try that again. Through the second loop, through the 2 on the hook. There's our third. And this is going to bring you down. You should only have 6 stitches by the end of this round. There's 4, 5, and here's our last one. 1, 2, pull that through the 2. Okay, so you see how the hole's nice and tight there. Now we just cut, leaving enough to sew on, to sew it closed, and we'll pull that through, all the way through. You don't need to do a chain or anything. And now we just want to stuff this up a little bit. I'm going to add some of our extra little ends here. First, I'm going to stuff it with just a little bit of regular old stuffing. I like to start with regular stuffing so that I fill in all the cracks. I use the back of my crochet hook. If you don't have a rubber crochet hook like this, you try using a pencil with an eraser. It helps out a lot, or just a regular old stick. A lot of times when you buy stuffing, it comes with a free stick too. And I'm trying to get all the way at the top there over the eyes. Okay? And don't worry too much about disfiguring your bat a little bit, because we'll be able to reshape them into the way that we want them to be. I'm just going to take these tail ends and use those as stuffing as well, so that we don't waste too much. We don't have too much waste after this. I'm even including our stitch marker there. All right, just a little bit more stuffing. I like sandwiching our tail ends in between ends of our, or in between regular old stuffing, because it just kind of, I don't know, it's just what I like to do. All right, he's almost fully stuffed. You don't want to overdo it too much, because there is a weight factor. You know, you want him to be able to hang upside down. You don't want to add too many magnets on the bottom. That's pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty dense, but he's not like overly stuffed. And now we want to add magnets. Now I like these little tiny ones here. I don't know exactly what the sizes are, but they're very strong. They're called rare earth metals, and I just need 3. I found that 3 is perfect. It's a pretty tight, look at that, I can hold it under my finger there. You can use 4 if you want, but I found that 3 works perfectly for me. And I'll just take our 3 put it into the bottom, just barely on the bottom there, and then take our tail end here and just sew our guy closed with that magnet on the inside. To sew him closed, we're going to count 3 stitches up. So if this is the end, okay, we're going to call that our 0 stitch right here. That's where we've worked our last decrease. I'm going to count up 3. So 1, 2, 3. Go in through the top of that third and come out through that 0. Like that. And then you want to go a stitch over to the right of where you went down. Go across and go out through your first stitch right there. Once you have your needle in there, you can pull that first one a little tighter. Like that. And then you want to go 1 stitch over from where that is right here. Go across, come out through your second stitch. Once you have that needle in there, you pull it tight. And then finally you want to go from 1 stitch over to that. It's kind of hard to see, but that's right here. And you just want to go out somewhere through the back. Pull it tight once you have your needle in there. Pull it tight. And then you want to go back down through and go through the bottom. Now, if you don't want to use your magnet, if you don't want to use magnets for this, you can use this little tail end to sew it onto something. So that way you have it permanently stuck upside down. That's also will work. Or even make a loop so you can like work it around something, so you can slide it onto a like curtain rod or something like that. But I don't need that, so I'm just going to cut it nice and close there. And we should be good to go. Let's take our little piece here and see. Yep, there you go. Holds on pretty tight. Like, really tight, actually. All right, so now I can just tweak all of our ends here to make sure that all of our ends are in the position that we want them. It's one of the benefits of using cotton yarn. Make sure our feet look like they're twisted right. And then we can take these little pipe cleaners. We can fold our face in a little bit like that. And there we go. We have a crocheted hanging bat. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure to like and subscribe down below. And if you want to see more Halloween amigurumi, like all these little ghost patterns, we have Ghastly and Boo. Here's a little classic ghost. And we, of course, have Pac-Man. I have a kit available for all these. And in addition, we have other Halloween crochet patterns like a witch and a zombie and a Frankenstein. We even have a swamp monster. And there's a mummy. This is going to be a brand new one. I'm still working on that one. We also have vampire. There's a bunch of different ones just like this. You can find them by going to clubcrochet.com/Halloween. Thanks so much again for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below if you like this pattern. And I will see you guys very soon. Happy hooking and pasta la pizza. All right, let's open this up and I'll just like fly into the screen like